What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. Well, today we're going to be talking about a film that initially, when given the opportunity to review this film, that I didn't give it a chance. And when I say I didn't give it a chance, I mean I wasn't interested in even checking it out. And that's mostly because it appealed to me as if this was some type of rock metal, biopic or documentary of some sort. And, it just doesn't appeal to me. And I had to really remember the reason why I got into reviewing films. And that's the idea of looking at films that I don't know anything about, that I may not, it may not totally appeal to me, it may not draw to me. But at the same time, it's the idea that you potentially may come out loving it more than you ever can imagine. That's happened to me so many times that I just had to remember that. And I have to be honest too, there's so many things to watch right now that I guess I was trying to be a little bit selective and to kind of make my time work a little bit here. But man, I'm so glad that I checked this out, because I would have been terribly upset to hear how good it was and realize that I passed up on it. But this film is The Sound of Metal. It's going to be in select theaters November 20th, and then it will be on Amazon Prime as an Amazon Prime original December 4th. Now, this film is really interesting because there's a lot of things I liked about it. The performances, I love the story, but I ultimately love what the sound team did with this film, because once I kind of break what this film is about, you'll understand. But they really did some things with sound that just really creates the drama. It creates it creates so many different emotions depending on what it is, to really put you inside of the protagonist of this film, and really understand everything that he's going through and everything he must be feeling. So, but with that being said, so this film is about a metal drummer, a punk metal drummer, Ruben, who has a band and starting to notice something weird is going on. He's starting to have complications with his hearing. So he decides to go to the doctors, and the doctors is like, hey buddy, I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's not going to get better. You are drastically losing your hearing. At the same time, because he's eventually going to be deaf, his bandmate / girlfriend Lou decides to check, because not only is Ruben dealing with the reality of losing his hearing, but he's also an addict, a heroin addict. So she decides to check him into a sober home for the deaf, which she hopes that it prevents him from a relapse, but also helps him to adapt to this new life and situation that's ahead of him. And Ruben now has to really decide if he's actually going to if he's actually going to accept what's happening to him, or if he's going to try to fight this, because he doesn't believe that this is actually happening to him. And not as a mental thing, is he doesn't believe this is happening to him. He just refused to accept it. And he's just, thinking that life will be the same as it was before, but realizing that it never will be. And, with him learning more about medicines and procedures that potentially could, reverse it or somehow normalize it for him, it's the idea of him trying to discover, well, what really is normal now. So really good film. Ruben is played by Riz Ahmed, who is just fantastic. Last time I seen him in something, I believe was Venom. And then Olivia Cooke, who just does her own transformation in this film as well, is just super good, and the pairing is so organic, and it just really works well together. But going back to Riz, I mean, he just does such a fantastic job in really pulling in the viewers into his world, into his reality, with so much emotion, confusion, just everything, conflict, because of just this scary change in his life. And I know for me, maybe for you all as well too, at some point you always thought, what happens if I lost my hearing, or what if I went blind? How would I operate? What would I do? And it's scary to think about that reality. But what I love about this film is that it shows you people within the deaf community, with real deaf actors and actresses in this film, And it shows you how they have a life. They're fully happy and they make the best of it. And, you know, people of all ages, all ethnicities, everybody come together because it's not the end of the world for you. You just find a way of doing so. And what I also loved about Ruben in this role, Riz in his role of Ruben, is that he learned to play the drums. He learned sign language. He truly put himself in this role, and it's such a passionate performance that you're just going to be blown away. But the thing I said that I feel like this film has done different that I don't think I've seen the film do is how they manipulated sound. You have to think about this. Being in the Ruben shoes, you go from very loud noise in a concert hall setting with him playing the drums and so on. Then you have the manipulated to the point where his hearing starts to go, so you have to add that in. Then you have it when it gets worse, and then you have he goes through a procedure where he uses the device where he potentially gets some of his hearing back. You know, the device that bypasses the eardrum, but it makes your brain think you're hearing things. So you have to think that, you know, how they have to use sound there. And then even before that, they put emphasis on things that we hear on a regular day-to-day basis, but they really enhanced it to put emphasis on like how important some of these sounds may be in our world, but we don't really pay attention to them. And so when you're deaf now and you don't have those, you know, it's a big draw to like, oh wow, that is what that sounds like, or that is what that is. So like the sound mixing, and everything with the sound effects is just done so well in this film that it's really something special. And I can't stress enough, you know, we're in that time of season where you're starting to get films that are trying to be award contenders, and like this is when you start getting stuff really magical like this film. And that's why this film is just the one that you just don't want to pass up on. Don't be like me and be hesitant. That's why I'm getting a review out for you all, so that you check this out, because, you know, the film tells story through sound, through emotions, through silence, even at time, because of what, you know, what Ruben goes through in his journey, and, you know, becoming from a heroin addict rock star to someone now accepted in the deaf community fully for who he is and how he changes his life around. And sort of, you know, it's his decision to decide if he wants to accept it or not, by being in this community. So like, it's truly a really passionate story that you definitely want to check out. But folks, truly let me know what you think about this film, if you've seen the trailer and if you're getting ready to watch it. It has hit the film festival circuit earlier this year, so some people have seen this already. But let me know if you're interested in seeing this. What's your thoughts about it? And if you have seen it, please come back. Or once you see it, please come back. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about this film. But Sound of Metal, folks, check it out. And I'll see you soon, very soon, for my next review. Thank you for watching, everybody.